John Ringo is a great military science fiction writer. If you've not read his work, he has a whole body of stuff that's excellent from Baen Books over the years, one of their top writers, and good guy, too. I met him at LibertyCon a few years back. I smoked a cigar out with him and his crew out there. Just good stuff. Nice guy, Catholic guy, and of course has been just hit by the woke in recent years because he just speaks his mind and acts like a normal person, and you can't do that these days. Well, he wrote a brilliant essay about why woke storytelling fails, and of course, as we're watching things like The Rings of Power, Starfleet Academy, Game of Thrones, Brandon Sanderson turning to wokeness in his book, and just seeing as it just wrecks everything every single time. There's a great reason for it, and I think he has some good reasons. I also think on my end, it's a little simpler why woke fails than that, which we'll get into in just a moment. So let's get into the news about what he's doing. So I mentioned Starfleet Academy at the beginning of this. I, as a joke on my Star Trek channel, I have a JDA Talks Trek channel where I do all my Star Trek reviews. Posted this where I'm like, well, I should just write a Space Fleet Academy and show them how to do it right. The response was way overwhelming. People like alternatives and like putting your money where your mouth is and just showing, look, I can do this better. The doctor from Voyager actually came on Twitter and fought with me and told me, if you don't like it, why don't you do it better too at the same time? So with all that response, I'm like, okay, fine, I will. And so I spent the last 3 weeks like just really, really hammering down Space Fleet Academy and doing it right. Now, I didn't do Star Trek. This is a hard science fiction sort of deal. And I'm working with my writing partner on this, and it's really turned out really, really well. I just finished the first draft last night, giving it to my writing partner, who is a Hugo Award-nominated editor who does excellent work. He's doing his pass, and then we're hoping to get this out by Thursday because we're just gonna show him how it's done. Now, I really think we have an excellent universe. The world building is really, really deep, and I think we have something special. And I think we are taking on the tradition of military science fiction and, of course, hard science fiction in the way that Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle really mastered with a lot of their collaborations. And I think we have a team now between us that we're their spiritual successors. I hate to compare myself to those guys because they're amazing, but I really think we have something special here. And I ran this into ChatGPT last night, and I said, I asked it, act as a professional science fiction editor. What do you think of this manuscript? And here we go. 8.7 out of 10. This is exceptional work. You've delivered on the promise of those first chapters, completed a complete, satisfying novel that tackles genuinely difficult moral questions while maintaining narrative momentum. This is publication ready with minor polish. Now, it's already publication ready, 8.7 out of 10. Like I said, my writing partner is a top-tier editor. So what he's going to do to it over the next week is he's going to push this way over the top, and this is going to be amazing. I'm so excited. So what I want you guys to do, sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss the release of this. I'm going to blast out a newsletter when we put this out. I want this to make a splash. We need to show Hollywood and rock them with this release that we can do it better than the woke can, and show them what good writing is and what good science fiction is. So sign up here. You get 3 free books for signing up, a full science fiction novel, a fantasy novel, and a superhero graphic novel. I'm extremely prolific. It's really good to be a fan over here. I'm working my tail off. I've been mastering the craft of writing science fiction and fantasy over the last decade. And I really appreciate everybody who's allowed me to have a good career here, because it's all because of readers like you. So let's get into what John Ringo says about why woke stories and characters suck, which is what we've, of course, been focusing on doing something different about as this goes along. Good stuff here. So if you don't know John Ringo, he does Black Tide Rising, the Legacy of Aldenata, and this is really good stuff right here. And this is why woke characters suck. What he says is... they are melds, exaggerations, direct representations of real people, is what it is. They're self-inserts, right, is what they do on the woke end. And what happens is on the non-woke end, you start to learn other real people. It's something as an author, like, I sit and I'm with my wife, and I'm like at a restaurant. I hear some conversation, at the table next to me, and I start to think about this real person, then think about what their story is. It's just how it goes. And then my wife always goes, "Hey, you're supposed to be in the moment," and I'm like, "Oh, sorry about that." But this is what happens when you're married to an author, and that's what you do. You think about other people, and you consider other people and how they would act and all that, and how they would do things. J. Michael Straczynski said back in the day that the sign of good writing is the character moment. You have to like understand a character to the level where if he's walking around his living room in the dark, and it's his living room he's lived in for a while, and he bumps his knee, what's his reaction going to be? Is he going to swear? Is he going to go, ah? Is he going to be like, is he going to dodge the table because he knows it so well he can move in the dark? What is that? And that's your character element, right? And you have to think about that. What the woke do is always simplify things, and they want to put themselves in. They want to feel seen. They don't empathize with other people. They actually just do their self-inserts, is the opposite of what John Ringo is saying here, as I was alluding to. So from here, he points to J.R. Tolkien in The Lord of the Rings, where he speculates Samwise Gamgee is probably based on his somebody he knows, and while he believes Boromir is based on C.S. Lewis. To his point, Tolkien did indeed admit Samwise Gamgee was based on his Batman. He wrote in a letter, "My Samwise is indeed largely a reflection of an English soldier, crafted of the village boys of the early days, for the memory of privates in my Batman that I knew in 1914 war, and recognized far superior to myself." From there, Ringo also notes that his characters are influenced by people he's met. Think about some of my characters. Ponder comes to mind. This is a person who has their act together to an almost insane degree. Stolid in battle, wise in character, a good mentor and trainer, an absolute stud personally. He's based on a real guy, one of my NCOs in the Army, and he's not far off. He continues, Miles A. Rutherford was an NCO in the Army, Infantry Board, Mortar Board, Airborne Board, President, 100 Rifle and Pistol. This guy was a fantastic trainer, fantastic mentor, and stoic to an unbelievable degree, and an absolute stud, and that's who he based him on. He wanted to provide other examples of characters noted as protagonists and heroes are based upon the best of humanity, and that best of humanity is a very important concept, guys, because that's where the real moral comes in. That's where the real storytelling comes in. You find somebody to aspire to in the heroes, not, I exist because my gender is otherkin, and that's, please see me as otherkin. Respect my pronouns. That's the difference, right? There's nothing to aspire to there. It's just existing, right? And that's what the woke are. They just exist. They sit online. They're terminally online. They don't do anything. They don't accomplish anything. And that's why they're so miserable. That's why they want to make everybody else miserable along with them. So it's not just his characters, but it's also scenes that he draws from his own experience. Various moments in my books have come from personal experience from one or two stories told by such people. One scene that comes to mind are when Mike O'Neill is caught in an underground current in his suit and feeling of complete loss of control. The other is when Butch's suit is breached. I've been caught in a current cave diving as well, had an error malfunction and thought I was going to die. That's crazy. Wow. Been there, done that, and I can write from personal experience, overcoming fear in any number of times to complete a mission. Interesting stuff there. What a stud doing that. After sharing all this, Ringo asks readers to think about Star Trek Starfleet Academy, Don Lemon, and other woke individuals. He says, imagine being a creator surrounded by people like that. Imagine being a person like that, where they're going to get, where are they going to get truly heroic, stoic, mature, sane characters? People who work the problem instead of being the problem. People who work the problem until it's fixed or they're dead. He says, then he points to a ridiculous scene from Starfleet Academy where one of the cadets admits swallowing her comm badge. He says it's probably taken from some incident in their own lives where some idiot swallowed a key or something, fiddling around with it nervously. Their friends and acquaintances are the sort of people who suck on something like a child when they're nervous. Man, brutal. And stupid and incompetent enough to swallow it. Hell, it might have been the writer themselves. That's true to life for them, so they can feel seen, right? And that's what it always is. It's the self-insert with these people, right? Good writers write about other people. The self-insert is very much the lowest common denominator of this sort of thing. And to them, it feels very, very real and feels authentic because that's all they can write, right? So he says every character is queer, gay, effed up because they all and their friends are queer, gay, insane, and effed up. As for why the shows feature some kind of lecture, he's then stated, been around leftists, all they do is lecture on Marxist critical theory. They can't just expletive about cabbages and kings because they are inherently ignorant of anything they weren't catechized on in college. Finally, he concluded you cannot take a woke writer and create anything of value. Very true. They have no personal experience of value. There are no role models of value to draw upon. Same for directors, producers, etc. Since they are surrounded by nothing but, woke people, they will always write crap. So woke stories and characters suck because the people involved suck. Brutal and 100% true here. So this is what I said in response to this, which, there's a simple explanation for it too. The DEI writers writes caricatures in mind to make a person represent a race, sex, gender, etc. for representation purposes. And since that representation has to be positive, no conflict of any meaningful sort can arise from it. And that's also true. You always see this. The gays just act gay and are happy and normal and well-adjusted. And so because they have to prove that the gays are happy and normal and well-adjusted, because they have to try to show that. So it just always ends up that way. The black people have to be welcomed everywhere, right? No matter what, because it's it's very important to show them and show the racism that they overcame, right? And that gets boring after a while because it doesn't represent anybody's actual real reality, because none of that shit really exists. Is what it comes down to. So brilliant analysis from John Ringo, an excellent writer in and of his own right. If you've not read his Black Tide Rising, I definitely recommend it. And guys, if you like this idea about storytelling and the like, I appreciate you being here. Check out my Starfleet Academy. It is going to be rocking, and hopefully we can get this done by next week. But I might never find you again on YouTube. Sign up for my newsletter. I appreciate you guys being here. We'll be back soon.